Well, if you are an Algebra 1 student and you are going to be taking the STAAR end of course examination for Algebra 1, what I'm going to be doing over this video is we're going to be going over a whole release test, question by question, show you how to use the graphing calculator in certain areas. And, you know, at some point we're going to be going back and be able to see how to use these formula charts right here. All right, that's something that you always want to know how to use. All right, will you use it the whole test? No, but there'll be certain things we'll be talking about, and you want to have your formula chart. And we're going to be going over the 2017 May administration. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just start with number one. There's some graph paper. Make sure you utilize graph paper if you need to make graphs. Okay. All right, so here we go. We're going to read each question carefully. All right, so right now it says, number one, which expression is equivalent to the square root of 147? Okay. Now, this is what they're expecting you to be able to do. They're expecting you to be able to break this down into its prime factors. Okay. Now, 147. If you kind of look at these right here, you can see some numbers 3 and 7, 21 and 49. Well, that kind of gives you a hint of what those factors are. All right. This actually breaks down into 49 times 3. Okay. If you didn't believe that, you do the calculator. 147 divided by 3 is 49. I'll be using the TI-84 plus CE. All right, so which is very similar to the TI-84 plus, just has it's just in color. So we're going to be going back and forth between this. All right, and a 49 breaks down into a 7 and a 7. Now, even though you can't see it, square roots, that's the index. It looks for groups of 2. So right here, you can pull out a 7, and what stays inside the radical is a 3. Now, if that doesn't make sense to you, hopefully this will. Hopefully you'll understand that in square roots, you could say the square root of 49 times the square root of 3 is the same as saying the square root of 147. When you multiply radicals together, you're able to multiply the numbers that are on the inside of the radicals together. Well, maybe you know that the square root of 49 is 7, and the square root of 3 can't be simplified, so you just stick it right next to it. So that's going to be your final answer. Well, let's say you're not very good at radicals, and you're just, you know what, you're an Algebra 1 student, radicals haven't made sense yet. Well, you can still type in the graphing calculator, the square root of 147, press enter, and that gives you a decimal approximate value, 12.12, keeps going on. Okay. Well, you could go and you could type in 7 radical 3, and you'll see 7 radical 3 is the same. Well, what were some of your answer choices here? Some of your answer choices was what? 3 radical 7? Well, if you type in 3 radical 7, that's not going to be the same decimal equivalent. So you could type in all the answer choices if you wanted to, and just see which one matched, since it's multiple choice. Okay? So what's the only one that matches? The only one that matches is 7 radical 3. All right? Let's go ahead and I'm going to clear this out. Go back to our test. Okay. Oh, that's wrong. Here we go. All right. So this one, you don't even have to solve. You got to do a setup. It says a drummer and a guitarist each wrote songs for their band. The guitarist wrote 8 fewer songs than twice the number of songs that the drummer wrote. Wow. So we got to figure out what that means. The guitarist wrote 8 fewer than twice the number of songs that the drummer wrote. Now they wrote a total of 46 songs. Which system of equations models this situation if the drummer wrote D songs? So that's important. But D equals the drummer. Okay. Drummer songs. Okay. And it says G is the guitarist. Apologize for my handwriting. All right, so we're going to start with the easy one. Okay, we know that they wrote a total of what? 46. So you know the drummer wrote some songs, the guitarist wrote some songs, and they wrote a total of 46. So that's one of them. That's what one of them has to be that. Okay. Now the other one is a little bit trickier. It says the guitarist wrote 8 fewer than twice the number of songs. So 8 fewer than is very similar to this concept of 8 less than. Okay? So 8 fewer than is the same as 8 less than. So at the very end, we're going to have to take away 8. So So how would we write twice the number of songs that the drummer wrote? Twice the number of songs. So twice the number of songs that the drummer wrote. So that'd be 2 times D. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take away, it says 8 less than, so we're going to have to take away 8 at the end. And what is that going to equal? That's going to equal our guitarist. So the guitarist wrote twice the number of songs that the drummer wrote. So that's the 2D part. And then the 8 fewer than part is you got to take away the 8. So now that we have our 2 equations, okay, let's go over here and see if anything works. Oop. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not. Oh, wait a minute. Look right here. G equals 2D minus 8. That is one of them. And G plus D. Oh, by the way, G plus D is the same as D plus G. All right, that's called the commutative property. Commutative property states that A plus B is the same as B plus A. Okay, just like A times B is the same as B times A. So that works with addition and multiplication. It does not work with subtraction and division. Okay, but that is also the same one. So our answer looks like it's going to be answer choice F. All right, let me scroll down and see if there's any. All right, yep, that's, oh, look at that. That's where you guys can get mixed up right here, is the 8 minus the 2D. Yeah, okay, but at least they messed up on that one. Okay, so what's definitely right? G plus D is 46, so D plus G is 46. And the guitarist wrote, that's where how you need to look at it over here. It says the guitarist wrote, that's G equals 8 fewer than twice the number of the drum. So that's answer choice F. Okay. All right, moving on. Let's go down another page. Ooh, let's look at these. Got some inequalities here. Okay. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you can actually use what's called the Desmos test app. Okay. That can help you with some of these graphing things. So you can use the TI-84 Plus CE, and you can also use the Desmos graphing app. Okay? It says, which graph best represents the solution set if y is less than or equal to negative 4x? Now, typically, in the old days, you'd have to know that this means 2 things. One, you're going to have a solid line. Anytime you have an equal to sign right there, it's going to be a solid. And 2, it's going to be shaded below. Below the line, shaded below. That's what the less than or equal to is. Okay. All right. So obviously, it's going to be, it's either going to be this one or this one. Well, this is shaded above. This is shaded below. So the answer is going to end up becoming C. And I'm going to zoom in on this. Okay. I'm going to zoom in, but we're going to show you how to use the Desmos graphing app. It's kind of cool. Okay. So what does that negative 4 represent? Right there. That negative 4 is the slope. Okay. That's negative 4 over 1, which means it goes down 4 units and over 1 to the right. So check this out. You can see how this has right here. It goes down 4 and over 1, and it goes down 4 units and over 1 unit. Okay? I'll do straight lines so you can maybe see it better. Down 4, over 1, down 4, and over 1. So that's your slope right here. Okay. Hopefully you're able to see that. But check this out. Let's go to Desmos. Let's type it in. See right here. You can type it. Hit the Y. Okay. Here's a little keyboard thing. All right. Less than or equal to negative 4x. You can type it in. Look at there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it. There we go. Okay. And you can see that it does indeed go down 4 units. I'll zoom out a little bit. Here we go so you can see it. It goes down 4 units and over 1. So here we go. So from right here, let's see if we can find it. If you look at it, it goes down 4 units and over 1 each time. Down 4, over 1. Down 4, I'll draw it in. Down 4, over 1. Let me change these arrows. There we go. Down 4, over 1, down 4, over 1. So there's that slope. And you can clearly see that this is the graph that best matches this answer. So it's going to be answer choice C. Now what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to quickly let you know what the other answers are, okay? So this is actually going to be y is less than negative 4. That's a horizontal line right there. That's y is less than negative 4. This would be actually y is greater than negative 4x. That's answer choice B. And this one is actually y is greater than or equal to negative 4. Okay? So that's what, I'm just letting you know what the answers are for A, B, and D. But the answer is C for number 3. Okay? Let me go back over here. All right, so here we go. The graph of f of x equals x squared was transformed to create g of x, which equals x minus 7.5 squared. Which of these describes the transformation? Let's use our graphing calculator. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to put y equals, I'm going to type in x squared. Then I'm going to go parentheses x minus 7.5 squared. And I'm going to hit zoom number 6, do a standard zoom. Let's take a look at these. Okay. Well, this one, there's the vertex. That's the vertex of the parabola. Okay. And then right here, this is the new vertex of our new parabola. So this is, just so you guys know, this represents f of x. And this graph right here represents g of x. Okay. So what happened there? It looked like it went over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a half. So it went to the right 7.5 units. Okay? So like what number would you have to plug in there to make this back equal to 0? You'd have to plug in a 7.5. Okay? You'd have to plug in a 7.5 to make that equal to 0. So it was a horizontal. Yep, it was definitely a horizontal shift. Horizontal means it goes left and right. That's what horizontal is, okay? So it definitely shifted to the right 7.5 units. Okay? Didn't go to the left. A vertical shift means it goes up or down. So vertical shift is up or down. Horizontal shift is left or right. So this graph definitely, if we go back to it, take a look at it, it went to the right how many units? 7.5. That's why the answer is F. Okay? All right. Alright, problem number 5. It says a set of weights includes a 4-pound barbell, okay, and 6 pairs of weight plates. Each pair of plates weighs 20 pounds. If x equals the plates that are added to the barbell, so x equals the plates, okay, and the total weight of the barbell and the plates and pounds is represented by f of x, so that's our y, okay, so y equals, which is the same as f of x, that's function notation. Simply means y, and that equals the total pounds of the barbell with the plates. Okay, what is the keyword range? All right, so if we have x and we have y, something you need to know: x is your domain, and y is the range. Okay, this is also known as your independent, and this is your dependent. This is your input, this is your output. Okay? So let's draw a little picture here. Alright? So we've got a barbell and we've got to add plates to it. So think of a barbell. I know this is not going to be a great drawing. Hopefully you can see that we have a barbell right here. Okay, now the barbell by itself weighs 4 pounds. Okay? So that's the 4 pounds. That's where this comes in. That's the 4 pounds. Now each pair of weights adds an additional 20 pounds. Okay? So if we were going to do this, you could actually put 0 plates on and you'd still have a 4. You could put 1 pair of plates on and you're going to multiply that by 20 and it's going to get you up to 24. And each additional plate is going to go up by 20. Okay? So here we go. Each time we add a plate, I'm just doing 0 through 6 because there's only 6 plates. Let's keep going up by 20. So we get 64, go up by 20. You get 84, go up by 20. You get 104, go up by 20. You get 124. Okay. So all of these numbers, okay, that represents your relevant domain. And this right here is your range. Okay? So your input, like for example, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's your domain of the function. So that's answer choice A. But it asks you for the range. All of these numbers represent the range of the function. So you're going to have a word problem, but you have to identify the domain and the range. Just remember, these values represent the range. These values, that x value right there represents the domain. So this right here is your domain. That's your range. The answer is B. Okay? And then you have to have two silly answers. Okay? So there's your, there we go. There's a better barbell. There we go. And you can add a total of what? 6 pairs. So you'd be pretty strong if you did that. All right, moving on. Let's check this out. Ooh, the area of a rectangle. I'm glad they gave rectangles. Those are easy. Triangles are a little bit harder. Okay. So the area of a rectangle. So we'll put area of a rectangle. Anytime it says area of a rectangle, I always draw a rectangle. 54 x to the 9th, y to the 8th. So that's the area. Hopefully you'll know that the area of a rectangle is simply the length times the width. That's something you should know by now. Okay? Now it says if the length of the rectangle is 6x cubed y to the 4th, which expression represents the width of the rectangle? Alright, so we have the area, 54, x to the 9th, y to the 8th, equals the length, which is 6x cubed y to the 4th, and it's asking us to solve for the width. Well, how would you solve for the width if they give you the length? Well, all you have to do is divide both sides by the length. I'll make a funny looking L for the length. It makes it a little easier. There we go. So the area divided by the length should give me the width. So let's take the area and let's divide it by 6x cubed y to the 4th, 6x cubed y to the 4th. Now when you divide coefficients, the coefficients are the numbers that are in front of the variables. That's a coefficient. That's a coefficient. You just do 54 divided by 6 and hopefully you know that's 9. But here's the cool rule. This is called the Quotient Property, all right, dealing with the laws of exponents. So whenever you have x to the power of m over x to the power of n, you're allowed to subtract the exponents. So let's just subtract the exponents. All right? Right here we have 9 and we're going to take away 3, so you're going to be left with 6. And here you have 8 and you're going to take away 4 and you're left with 4. All right? And that's your answer. So it looks like our answer is answer choice H. Now, if you're wondering, why are you allowed to subtract the exponents? All right, here's why. If you already know why, you can fast forward. So I'm going to take x to the 9th. I'm going to divide it by x to the 3rd. So here's a quick little review. If you're having to take this test over and over again, you probably want to know why. What I'm doing, I'm listing out what x to the 9th is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whew. And then this is x to the 3rd. 1, 2, 3. Now any number divided by itself cancels to a 1, so these cancel to a 1, these cancel to a 1, these cancel to 1. Now how many do you have left? A total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's why it's x to the 6th. Okay? So this is just a faster way. Take this number, subtract this number, and you're done. Answer choice H. Alright, number 7. Alright, number 7, I know I'm taking some time on these, so I just want to make sure you know how to do them. It says the total number of seats in an auditorium is modeled by this function, where x represents the number of rows of the seats. How many? So we're at x equals. Alright, so what is x equal? The number of rows. X equals the number of rows of seats. Okay? How many rows are there in an auditorium if it has a total of 416 seats? Okay? So it says the total number of seats is this. So f of x equals the total seats. Alright, so here we go. So we're going to write f of x equals 2x squared minus 6x. Now don't freak out just because it's quadratic. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to plug in a 416 right there. Okay? So right now, what I'd like you to do is we're going to figure out right now which one of these right here gets us to 416. So just go to your graphing calculator. Hit y equals, I'm going to clear this guy out, I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to type in our function. So let me go back. It says 2x squared minus 6x. Here we go. 2x squared minus 6x. And I'm just going to check the table. Let's just check the table. See if we can get to 416. It's getting bigger, getting bigger, getting bigger, 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 and getting cold. I think we found it. Look at that. When x is 16, it's 416. Now what does that mean? That means, right there, when you plug in a 16 here and a 16 here, you get to the value 416. Now, you have access to a graphing calculator. So sometimes all you got to do is take this right here, plug it into y1, and then hit these keystrokes, second and graph, which brings you to your table. Right there. So I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, let's do it one more time. So at y equals, I type in the equation, right? Type in the function, and then I hit second and graph, and then I find my number, okay? Which is the number 16. And that's your final answer. Okay, let's go back here. Good to go. Clear it out. Oh, next page. Going down. Ooh, exponential function. Look at that. Okay, so it says the graph of an exponential function is shown on the grid. Okay, typically your exponential function is y. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here so we can see the whole thing. There we go. Okay, hopefully you can get your magnifying glass and see everything. It says which dashed line is an asymptote for the graph. Now an asymptote is a boundary, okay, that the graph gets to but doesn't quite touch. Now there are asymptotes that sometimes in more complicated equations will cross it, but it's basically the graph gets really, really, really close to it but doesn't quite touch it. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the asymptotes. I'm going to zoom in now and explain to you what these are. Okay, so we have some different lines here. Okay, right here we have y equals 0. Right here we have y equals -2. That's a horizontal line and a horizontal line. Here we have a vertical line, x equals 2, and here we have another vertical line at x equals -8. Okay. Now an asymptote is a boundary in the graph that the graph will not touch. Okay. So we can definitely rule out q. That's a ridiculous answer. That's not an asymptote. Okay. And right here you can see how this graph does not go down, get close to t. All right. It's kind of close to it, but it doesn't get close to it, so it's not t. Now, basically, we're down to s and r. So, here's what you have to understand. If I continue the pattern here, you'll notice that this graph is going up, but it's going to eventually pass over. Okay? It's going to pass through this line because it's technically still going to the right. Okay? So here's something you need to know about all basic exponential functions on the Algebra 1 test, okay? So this right here looks like it passes at 0, 5, okay? All right? This function, if you have y equals a times b to the power of x, all right? Or your basic one is y equals b to the power of x, where b is greater than 1, okay? Here's two things you need to know. The domain. The domain will always be all real numbers. Okay? Which means, I'm just going to put the set of all x values such that x is an element of the real number system. Okay? But your test will just say all real numbers, which basically means this. In interval notation, it goes from -infinity to positive infinity. You can plug in any number into this exponential function and work. Okay? But the range, there's a limit. You'll notice that in this function right here, it gets close to 0. Now, it looks like it touches 0, but it's really not. It's just getting really close to 0. All right? All of your y values are going to be greater than 0. This is where your asymptote is located. your asymptote is located at y equals 0. Okay? It's what's called a horizontal asymptote. And that is the only asymptote you have to worry about in an exponential function. Okay? So, what does that mean for this answer? That means that S is the asymptote. R right here is not an asymptote. It's a vertical line that this graph will eventually cross. This is the only thing. This is the only boundary that it will not cross or touch. It just gets closer and closer and closer to 0, but it doesn't quite ever reach it. Okay? So the answer for this one is line S. That is what's called, once again, that's y equals 0, and that is your horizontal asymptote. Now, there are vertical asymptotes in other equations, but you don't have to worry about that as an Algebra 1 student. Okay? All right. So that was number 9. I'm going to zoom out real quick. This one says, the graph of a quadratic function is shown on the grid. Which function is best represented by this graph? Okay? Well, right now, all you got to do is find the function that matches it. So how many answer choices do you have? You have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, any graph that opens upside down like this, that means your A value is going to be a negative number. Okay? So your A value will be negative. When A is less than 0, the parabola opens down. When A is greater than 0, the parabola opens up. So obviously we can mark out this answer and this answer because those are the graphs that will open up. So we're not going to even test those. That would be ridiculous and we don't want to be laughed at. Okay? So let's just check these right here. Okay? Let's look at our zeros. Our zeros are at right here and right here. So our zeros are at -4, 0, and the other zeros at 1, 0. So -4, 0, and a 1, 0. So let's type this one in. Here we go. Y equals -x squared. There's that wrong. -x squared. Go back, take a look at it. Minus 3x. And plus 4. Now I did something wrong here, okay? I did it on purpose. When you're typing in a quadratic, you have to use, in your calculator, you got to use this minus sign, not the negative sign. If you use the negative sign, it's going to multiply. You got to use that minus sign. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hit zoom number 6, take a standard zoom, and let's take a look at these zeros right here. Where are zeros? Right here and right here. So that's at a -4 and that's at a 1. This looks like our answer. Okay? This totally looks like our answer. Answer choice G. What we're going to do is we're just going to, you can look at the vertex. Looks like our vertex right here is at a -1.5 and all the way up past a 6. Let's take a look at ours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, there it is. That seems to match. But let's say you weren't quite sure. You're like, I don't know if I'm going to pick this one. Here's what you can do. Okay. Go to your rapid calculator. Hit y equals. Let's type in the other one. I'm going to go back and take a look at the other one. There we go. -x squared plus 3x plus 4. Let's try that one. -x squared plus 3x plus 4. Let's graph that one. Okay, well that we can clearly see that this is definitely, that's at -1 and +4. So that's definitely not the graph that we're looking for. So the answer is definitely -x squared minus 3x. The answer is G. I'm going to go ahead and stop right now. That's the first 10 problems. I'm going to do the next video on 11 through 20.